Hello, hello, hello. Greetings. Hello, Cloud. Hello, Lilu. Sorry for the late start. I was hoping to get a package supposed to be delivered yesterday for the project I wanted to do today. Hey, hey, Wojo Pancake. Thank you for the bit. Your hello, son or daughter. Um, I'm all confused. Oh yeah. So anyway, thank you, Mr. Hodge, for 6 months. Very kind of you. Hopefully, we get to play some games with you again. Haven't been playing a ton of games lately. Every once in a while, doing a daily run on Binding of Isaac. But I haven't really played a lot. I want to get back to some games. I'll be honest with you guys, it's been very hectic. Um, I've had a lot going on just with family, with work. My father's health is a constant ebb and flow. He's had a couple falls. Um, Nothing major from it, but sadly, I mean, he takes blood thinners because if he has a heart problem. So a bad fall could really hurt him. Um, we're getting a chair lift put into the house so that he can come upstairs easier. Um, but he's been getting a little bit weaker because he hasn't been moving his around as much, and we've been trying to exercise him, and um, it's been tough. We're trying to do whatever we can to let him stay here with us as long as we can before he'd have to go someplace like assisted care living, which he really doesn't want to do. In his mind, he's a young person, and everybody else is the old people at those places. So it's kind of funny. He also has Alzheimer's, so it's not horrible yet, the dementia Alzheimer's, but um, he definitely is forgetting things. He kind of forgets Lizzie's name now, which kind of upsets her. So, but yeah, that's the negatives of getting old. Except I'm not getting old. I'm getting younger. I'm like Peter Pan. So anyway, hopefully you guys are all doing well. Lovely to see you. Again, thank you, Mr. Hodge and Mr. Wojo Pancake. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to do a project, and I'll show it to or show a few of the pieces to it. Um, but I wanted to do it today, but I was waiting on a part that was supposed to come from Amazon yesterday. They said it was delivered, but it wasn't here. They didn't even show a picture. Usually on their website, they show a picture of like where they left it, and a lot of times I'll see it's like not my house; it's my neighbor's house. Amazon has their own delivery now for a lot of stuff, and it's horrible. If they deliver through UPS, FedEx, it's great, but when they do it themselves, it sucks. Didn't show up today, so they're sending me another one, and I should have it tomorrow. So that project I'm going to have happen tomorrow. Also, I'm going to try to use my camera. This is a camera that I bought way back from Minecon when we went, so we could do some roaming filming footage. And the battery's getting a little weak in it. So I'm going to go through a whole bunch of projects because I think this camera is better than using my webcam or my phone as a webcam. So, hey, Raham, so you guys will have to tell me how it looks. It might run low on the battery. I'm going to try to get the charger cable moved over so I can leave it plugged in. Right now, I've got it really like I have like a little. It's true, Danny. 14 is more than 13. 14 is usually how many over par I am when I play golf. But thank you, Mr. Danny, for your continued support. Danny should remember this camera that I'm talking about because this is the camera that I bought from Minecon. So anyway, I'm going to get that camera. I'm going to hook it up here real quick to my tripod, and you guys will have to let me know how this works. This is I haven't created the artwork for this screen very well, so it may not look the best, but I'm getting the camera and I'm putting it in the tripod, turning it on, switching over to the camera. If it works, there's no signal. Let's give it a second. Come on. Come on. Oh, I don't have the video plugged in. Oops. I had it plugged in, but it popped out. Please hold. Okay. All right, so that's the video cable. Come on now, baby. Come on. There we go. Oh, hold on. Where's that coming from? Let me turn that off. I don't have the did I plug in the antenna? I don't have the audio turned on for that. I don't understand why it's coming through. I have the camera or the capture card set for muted. Let me just try this. Turn it back on. It's like it's pumping it through the desktop. This is probably that stupid Windows video or audio mixer garbage. Oh, this is going to be annoying. How can I get around this? Let me try that. Okay, so I turned off my desktop audio. Don't echo. Oh, it's echoing. You don't hear any echo? Okay. Oh, ooh, that means I might have an idea. Okay. Well, it's feeding back into my headphones. I got an idea. I believe. Okay. Well, I hear myself, and it's really annoying. Okay. So this is some projects, just some stuff I printed. This is basic. What is that? What is this? Correct. I'm going to blow this thing real quietly. That sounded bad. There you go. Okay. Very exciting. All right. What are those? Hey, Melon. Earrings. You're close. Your phone connector for your ear. Yeah. These are for earbuds. You basically clip the earbud here, and then this goes around your ear. So if you're out running, doing anything active, it'll help the earbud stay in your ear. And they're real thin. They work pretty well. Okay. This was something I created. I'm going to show you all the revisions. They're kind of hard to see, the two right ones, because they're black and the table's black. So what happened is, door stuff. These are my attempt at making knobs for the air fryer. We have an air fryer that is, I'm going to take my headset off. I'll be honest, I don't even need it. And I don't have to hear myself. So we have an air fryer, and yeah, Melon, very close. And what happens is it's a mechanical knob that you turn, and you set it to like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. And it just goes click, 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 click. And when it reaches zero, it goes ding. But say it's what you have is done, it tells you to turn it counterclockwise until it dings to turn it off. Well, the knob that comes with it, this part here, is like super thin. Not even as thick as that, and it cracked. So this was my first attempt at making a replacement knob. The problem was I made this gap you see underneath my finger too wide, and it needs to be a little bit taller. So I made another one where I made the thing taller. Oh boy, auto power off. I'm already running out of battery. No. Told you I need a new battery. Stop it. All right, I'm gonna make a move here. I'm gonna try to get this cable before it goes out completely. This is a custom cable. All right, I gotta cut a wire tie here. All right, let me see if I can. Oh, I gotta cut another wire tie. Let me just see if I can get this cable. Hopefully it's long enough to reach. And I believe it is. All right, success. Camera should be coming back. All right, so anyway, I made this one, and what happened is everything was good with the depth of the notch size, the height, but the depth inside down into it wasn't enough. So then I made this one, and these are harder to see. This one worked great. I even put a notch on it to mark 0, so you could have an indicator of where you're turning the dial. But I found out when I made the notch, and I made this notch, that slit you see, or kind of see. I mean, I'll show you here. That slit, I made the marker on the front in line with that. Well, it turns out it's like needs to be at like 2 o'clock, and the slit at noon. So I made this one. This is the final one. Everything's good depth-wise. I painted a little line on it. This one works beautifully. I put it up on Thingiverse. So if anybody wants, because I looked online to see if you could just buy one, and you couldn't. There was some guy who was selling them on eBay, and he was trying to make money. He was wanting $15, and it's funny is I'll show you my thing, but I'll show you his eBay thing. Hey, Cucumber, been a while. So let me go back to here. So this guy was was selling for like $14 his attempt at one, and you can tell his is 3D printed also. And he was selling them for 14 bucks. I put mine up on Thingiverse, the file, so anyone could download and print it, and there it is in the deep fryer or air fryer. And I made mine free. So I'm not charging people for it. They can have the design, and if it helps anyone, one person has marked it to print when theirs breaks, but obviously it's a very limited use type thing. All right. I don't know if Vladi's around because some of these things he might be interested in. But let me go back to my project thing. Okay. So this is a little funnel. And what I printed this for only was because I needed a little funnel. Hey, Graham. Not all heroes wear capes. That's true. Sometimes they wear nothing. So this little funnel, I need it because on my printers, I use isopropyl alcohol to, they wear chicken masks. Well, yes, that's a given. To clean the beds of the printer. And I wanted to, the wife got me a spray bottle at the grocery store. And I just wanted a funnel that hadn't been used before to put the isopropyl alcohol into the bottle easier. I didn't really need it, but I could print it, so why not? And it's even got like little lines. I don't know how well you can see them. Got little lines around it to help give a little bit of an air gap. Most heroes eat grapes. He was here last project I did, but you never know with him. So that's really cool. These things here are they have a little hole for mounting, and you screw these onto the wall, put them on you don't need to put them on a stud, but I always try to hit a stud if I can, if you know what I mean. And these are to hang the pool cue racks, the 8-ball rack and the 9-ball rack downstairs. Could be used as coat hangers, I guess. But I'm going to use them. They were made on Thingiverse. Somebody made them for pool cue racks. And that's what I'm going to try to use them for. I just have to go down there and put them in. Danny's going to like one of the ones I show. This came out beautiful. It printed in vase mode. When you print in vase mode, it only does one layer, so you can see it's thin. But notice I screwed up. I didn't print a bottom. I forgot to turn on the bottom layer. So I'm thinking about trying to make it into a lamp. Like have a lamp come up through here with a light, and then just build something inside it to but it's just kind of cool regardless. But vase mode is fake flowers. I printed another one correctly. Vase mode only uses one layer, so what's very cool, when vase mode works, it just starts printing like my finger is here and continues to go up and up and up. It never stops putting out filament. Bingo ball mixer. Yeah, it's true. But it's just like one long thing. Normally when you print, it goes back and forth, does a layer, raises up, comes back over, does another layer. But this is just one continual layer. So I printed another one that was really cool. And I gave it to Lizzie to put art pins in. So I can't show it to you because she's not here. Her and the wife went out. So I printed a really cool one. The wife really liked it. So I may print another one of hers. I love this blue filament. This light blue filament is my second favorite filament. My favorite is that dark blue that you guys saw me use before. But this vase mode, you might think, well, that's really flimsy. And it is because it's only one layer. But I'll show you here. Prints can be super strong, which is a question Avladi had, is how much weight can they hold? And that depends on, what it is. But this is could be used as a hook. I printed this for the garage, and it's got holes in it for screws, again, on a stud. And I'm going to use this to hang a weed eater. And you can put a little force on it. But the lines are printed this way. when it prints. So the force, if it was printed this way, the force could rip it easier. But this thing is super strong. I mean, I'm pulling on it, and I cannot, I can't see this budging. This thing should, I think it's set to hold about 100 pounds with no problem. As long as you're on a stud, it can hold even more. This thing is super sturdy. This is a simple little thing. It says a fan cover to go on one of the fans on the printer. I always break the fan. I have extras. I always hit it with my screwdriver. So this little guy covers it, and it makes it harder to have your tool hit it. So I have extra fans. So nobody's going to guess what this is. It's kind of hard to hold. It does roll, and it's got 2 holes in it. If anyone guesses this, I'll be amazed. The Lego piece? No, it's not a Lego. It actually has a practical purpose. Somebody designed this on Thingiverse. One thing I was thinking of doing, would people like it if I put some of the things, like I print it, like, um, say the hook isn't, that's not very exciting, but like the earbud holders, a little Chewbacca, the mouse tensioner thing, bottom of a Revolutionary War cannon, cheese grater. But if I put a few things on my redemption thing on here, so if you redeem, say, um, X amount of points, I'll send you in the mail, like, say, the toothpaste squeezer. You can pick what you want. Looks like it has to do with golf. It does have to do with a sport. This is for a sport, and it's not golf, and it's an inside sport. So, but I mean, I don't want to make things too cheap if I do that, because I don't want to be printing and sending stuff out all the time. And I wouldn't put like super complicated things unless it was a huge amount of points. But you know what it is? What is it? Racquetball would be interesting, but no, it's not for racquetball. For billiards, correct. I printed this. It's like a little, you put your cue stick through one of the holes, and it's made for people with only one hand to be able to play pool. But I thought about making it so that my father, who loves to play pool, but he doesn't walk very good anymore, so we've been using a wheelchair. He can play pool with us still. We haven't tried it yet because he just hasn't had much energy to want to do a lot lately. But we're hoping if we get his strength back up, he can play pool. But use this; it's like a little mini bridge that you don't have to hold. You just put the stick in it, roll it out. So I'll let you guys know how that goes. All right, this is a hard shell. I don't know if I showed this, a hard shell wallet. It didn't print very good. There's some lines in it. This filament is I think got too much moisture on it, and I didn't like try to dry it out. But it prints like that on the bed. And you can put business cards in it. I don't know why they had to have holes in it. I'd prefer there be no holes. But it locks, and then once you lock it, you can see it doesn't open. But you could put, like, you could put your cocaine in here, maybe, if you're like DB. Some of your marijuana. You just got to get rid of the holes. So it was cute. I thought I'd print it. Yeah, it prints as one piece. I've shown things before. You probably haven't seen them. There's a lot of things that is it RFID. Yeah, there's a lot of things that print as one piece, and then I mean, this one literally, as soon as you unhook it from the bed, it moves because it lays the rod, like the rod down, and then paints the loops over top of it. With DS cartridges, yeah, you could. They make a lot of stuff. I made Lizzie's got a game. What is, I don't know, whatever they're called, DS, one of the newest ones, and I made one of these little things that holds the DS and gives you real comfortable round things. And she was able to. She says it makes it real comfortable. I also made a charging thing for her DS. It's this like round thing, and the DS just goes swoop, sits right down in it and starts charging. And I had to put a little wire and charger cable on it myself, but it came out really nice. All right, you guys, anybody know what these are? I did this as kind of a joke as a test, but actually they're pretty cool. These came out. These are two pieces, handcuffs, clips, cable clips, clip hangers. There we go. Carabiner. A lot of people have different phrasings. I've phrasing for how to say it, but these are like, I wouldn't go zip lining and use these, but I mean you can see. And they are very sturdy. I mean, I pull on them, and I mean I wouldn't go zip lining with them, but I took them when we went golfing. We did night golf last weekend. And I hooked a flashlight to them, and then like took them and clamped them onto like the golf cart up top, so they were hanging, and our flashlights were hanging from it. Good for keys, yeah. And you can print different sizes. This is a standard size. Um, I have very large hands, like Donald Trump, so there you go. Um, just to give you, I don't have a banana handy. Could use them as handcuffs, I guess. You're into bondage, I guess, but to each their own. I don't judge. Maybe if Ollie was here, you could talk to her. Um, I think she'd be happy to meet you. Now, Danny, I'm going to have something in a second for you. This is for the wife and Lizzie who are super geocaching. This is a fake rock. Basically, you screw this piece in. You can put like your clue, your geocaching clue or log in it, and then you. I don't have it all the way screwed together because I haven't got it lined up yet to super glue it. But you can hide. You want to paint this, get like a darker color, and then get like they make like a granite paint, and it'll look like a real rock. And you put it with real rocks somewhere. You give the coordinates to it, and people might not notice it, but if they do, then they can untwist it, and inside there could be a little logbook or maybe a clue to the next geocache part of the puzzle. So this came out really nice, and like I said, you got to paint it and all that, but very pleased with it. All right, Danny, are you there? Are you there, Danny? Because this should be exciting for Mr. Danny. All right, Danny. Here's the first piece. So that came out really nice. Uh, it's a silver paint here, and then I used a black gunmetal. It's called. It's like a graphite color. Factory new. That's right. Let me tell you how I got these scars. It's a little small. It's not like normal size for what it would be if it was like. But it's I mean they do make them smaller like this. But it came out really good. It printed as two halves. So the knife was two flat pieces, and then I had to glue them together. And I painted the silver first on each piece. I didn't glue them together yet. I painted the silver first, and then I put after it dried, I put painter's tape on the silver, and then I painted the black, and then that way the black didn't get on the silver. And once I had it done, then I glued it together, and it fits in really nice. And I have it hanging up on the wall, or not hanging up on the wall, but sitting up on the wall, normally behind where I have all my 3D prints. So that one I was really pleased with. It came out really nice. So that's um, kind of the day of or the project stuff that I've printed. All the goodies. All the goodies. Little earbuds hanging on that. Got our whistle. Can't see it. Running out of space. Hook. Case. Carabiners. Probably not visible. There it all is. So I'll what I might do, like I said, is check with people and see like what like if there was things in here that people would want to see like points for. Diamond style. You talking about this? The funnel? Yeah, this is a funnel, just a normal funnel. Not the funnel. What diamond? Oh, you mean this thing here? The vase? Yeah, I'll show it again for you. Let me get this stuff out of the way. But like, what things would people like want to see if I make point value claims where you can get something? I mean, thinking about any of the other things I've shown over the years, or the year that I've had printing, um, some things I would obviously have to have a. How tall is the vase? You don't have to. If you're spending $1,000 on a 3D printer, you're doing it wrong. Um, you can spend a lot less. A lot less. Um, but yeah, this was a vase. I printed it in vase mode. It's you can print any size. A coin to do with the channel, that would be a good idea. Depending on the printer, you can print even bigger. I mean, I could have printed this probably, I don't know, maybe 10 inches tall. And then obviously, if I kept proportions, it would probably be about 6 to 7 inches wide. I forgot to print a bottom, though, by mistake because I was rushing. So I'm going to try to make a lampshade out of it and put like an LED light in the middle. So here's what I'm going to do tomorrow as a project. And it's going to be some soldering. But hold on, let me talk about the printer real quick because you mentioned buying a printer. Let me tell you, I honestly I bought my third printer. It just showed up today. I haven't built it yet, but I'll show you. There's a company. It's a Chinese company, but they have a U.S. Factory. So let me go to it here. So right here is the printer I just got, and it printed boobies. It's the CR10. You can get this thing. It's normally $540. They have it for $370. And like, say I go US and I picked a black one. I like the black and blue one here. That's what I got. It's free shipping, and it ships within 24 hours. So $370. And this is a very, very popular printer. It does a really good job. The thing I'm excited about this one is it does have a larger build area. It's 300 by 300 and then 400 high. Those are millimeters. So I'm going to print like a big vase for the wife, depending on what style she wants. Like I go to Thingiverse a lot. This vase here is very popular. Let me show you just some of the different vases. The one I printed for Lizzie was this one, and it came out in that blue. Beautiful. It's a Mandelbrot, I believe, Julia, the fractal mathematical formula, but it came out gorgeous. And I did it for her to put pens and pencils in. I also made her. Let me see if I can find it. She's not here. I'd have her bring these things to me. I made her a thing to hold her paintbrushes. Another thing that somebody designed. Let me just see if I can find it. It was really cool. I've been using this blue big time. Just let me find it. Okay, here it is. So I made this. I mean, I printed it. I didn't make it technically. You know, you get what I mean. Could you Cloud would get the blue and blue option if there was one? One, yeah. So this is really cool, just to hold her brushes. I printed that in that blue. Um, and then this vase, but I mean, you can see there's a ton of different vases. Some can be printed in vase mode, which doesn't give it a lot of strength, but it's very scenic, just very beautiful to look at. Um, and then obviously I mean, this guy probably painted it to make it look more acrylic, but different ones. You don't have to print in vase mode if you want something more sturdy. Well, Cloud, maybe I'll put this paintbrush thing, that one I showed you earlier, I'll put that on there for like 20,000 um, points or something. I don't know. So I'm going to try to put some things up because I think people might like it. But there's a ton of different vases. 22,000. I'm going to put it up for 23,000. Crowd. So I would get this printer if I was just starting out and I wanted to get a reliable printer. This is a really good printer. It's economical. It's got a very large build area. I want to start making some bigger things. I want to make like a stormtrooper helmet. Um, I want to make some things where I don't have to like make it in 3 or 4 pieces. I can make 2 pieces, like half of a helmet, half of a helmet, and then glue them together. I want to make some bigger models, and I can do it somewhat with my printers, but they're older. You can get cheaper printers too. I mean, this one here is one I have, and it's really cheap right now. It's $117. The only thing I recommend is if you get this one, you definitely want to talk to me. I love this printer. This is what I've been using to print all the things you've just seen. I use this printer more than I do the first one I bought. The first one I bought is actually probably a better printer, but I built this one because the kit is completely pieces. I mean, thousands of pieces. You have to build the entire thing. And I really know this printer very well. The other one, like this new one, this CR10S that I got here, this one is like this U part of the frame is all one piece. The bottom part is one piece, and this is one piece. So you put like 5 or 6 screws and you're done. But this ANET A8 is a super cheap printer, but I replaced the power supply because this one's kind of cheesy. And I put in a bunch of support pieces that I printed. And you can build the printer and print the support pieces then to add. So I've made my printer more stable and more reliable. This one's kind of one of those ones I would recommend not getting unless you're super strapped for cash, because unless you do some rewiring with a new power supply and stuff, it can and update the firmware, it can kind of be a little unsafe. Because I mean, these print heads are getting very hot. But I really think this is a great one. My goal someday is I want to get the Prusa printer. These are not like there's a lot more expensive printers. You can buy $5,000, 2,000, 3,000. But I want to buy the new i3 Mark III from Prusa at some point. These guys, it's a Czech company, but Joseph Prusa from the company who created it, you can see it here. It says it. He open sources all the software. All the schematics to make it. You can do anything. You can remake this printer and knock it off if you really want to. But you can get it for $9.99 assembled or $7.49 if you want to build the kit. This thing is one of the best printers out there. This thing rivals $2,000 or $3,000 printers. It is really, really nice. It's got the ability to resume on power failure. It's got a sensor that can check if it hits a jam and it'll pause until you fix it and it'll restart. The print bed, kind of, you can see it comes off down here on the bottom, and you can just flex it to pop the print off. You don't have to get the putty knife and maybe hurt yourself trying to scrape your print off. It's got a sensor that tells it when it runs out of filament, so your print can be resumed by putting more filament in. This one here actually does have a filament sensor itself. So that's kind of nice too. But like I said, this is a great one to get. If I was going to get a printer, I mean, I just got this one today, but I haven't built it. If you were saying, "Hey, I got $400 or $500 I want to spend on a printer," I'd be like, "Get this printer." You can save a little bit of money and get a knockoff of it, even though it's already a knockoff. The Tevo Tornado, it's very similar, $310, so $50, $60 cheaper. It's pretty much identical to the CR10, 300 by 300 by 400. And it does have one benefit. This bed is heated with AC instead of DC, so it heats up very quick. But AC is a little bit more dangerous, so you could shock yourself if you ever mess around with it. So you gotta be careful. Um, and I don't know. The CR10 is what I think's better, but this is definitely a nice one to have. But I really want to get a Prusa someday. I'm going to drop the either grand or 750 and get a Mark III. This is really an amazing printer. All right, let me go back here and let me go back to the project that I was working on. So back to Project Cam. All right, so what I'm going to do tomorrow, there's going to be soldering, cutting, wiring, software, all kinds of stuff. I'm going to show you, well, I have an Atari computer, an old Atari 8-bit. Lilu might remember the Atari 800s, Atari 800 XLs, XEs. This print here is for the connector. This goes in like this. This clips on like that. And it basically, I don't have it clipped in because I don't want to clip it fully. This is the connector that goes into the back of the Atari. And there was also normally the exact same connector on the other end with a cable. And that would go to your disk drive, your old 5¼ inch floppy disk drive. So, 5¼ inch floppy disks aren't very reliable. They're very old. They're dying. The media itself is almost impossible to get new condition stuff. The data on them is probably already long gone, or its days are numbered. But what I'm going to do is I printed this, and this is really amazing. This is what I love about 3D printing is this is a connector. You can still buy them from like retro stores that carry old parts, but the stocks are going to run low. So I printed that. And I printed this gray one too. Probably use the blue one because I really like it. And I don't know if this is going to be very visible on camera, but these are little Molex connectors. You have the Atari 2600. Yeah, well, the 8-bit are the computers. The 2600 is the console. I have a Atari 2600 downstairs. The consoles were never as good as the computers. But this is a little Molex connector. And what you do is you put your wire on it, and then you insert it into these. So what I'm going to do is what I'm waiting on in the mail is a little circuit board that I got. It was like $6. Let me see. I can show you what I bought. Let me find it. I'm going to build it all and hook it up and hope it works live. We're going to do it live tomorrow. Okay, so this is what I bought. This is it uses what's called an FT232 chipset. And it plugs into your computer or your Raspberry Pi or even your phone USB port. And then it gives you these wires. You see these little black cables. I guess if I click this right here, it gives you the outputs. So you get like a transmit, a receive, request to send, clear to send, 5 volts and ground. I think that's the signals. There's the little circuit inside. So what I'm going to do is the old Atari disk drives. I wish I had put my project on. Let me find a nice picture here. All right, hang on. Just trying to find a couple. Okay, so this is the Atari here, the 800 XL. It's the second generation of them. I actually have the original Atari 800. It was my first ever Atari computer. I have Atari 2600 console, But the Atari 800 was my first computer from Atari. Not my first ever computer, but first Atari. I also had the 800 XL. And then there's this disk drive, which was called the 1050 disk drive. You can see that cable I make, that connector that I was showing you plugs in there and then plugs into the back of your computer. So these disk drives are serial. They transmit their data over basically it's a serial port. This little guy here gives you, it takes USB, which is already serial, but converts it to 3.3 volt serial signals. Now we need 5 volt, but what I can do is, you can't really see it very well here probably, but like right here, you see there's a 3V, it's upside down, and a 5V. There's a little trace right between those 2 points. I'm going to cut that without hopefully cutting my fingers on stream tomorrow. And then I'm going to put a little wire to connect these two. And it's going to convert this from a 3 volt signal to a 5 volt. They don't recommend you modifying these things, but I was able to get this one cheaper than the 5 volt version. And all I have to do is open it up and basically solder there, cut here, boom, it's 5 volts. So what's going to happen is, this cable is going to go the way it is. I'm going to cut these little connectors here off. And then we're going to take that little thing I printed. We're going to put the Molex connectors on these wires. We only need 4 of these wires, I believe. So 2 of them we won't use. And then we're going to put those inside that part we printed. And we're going to have a single piece that is going to basically allow us to hook our Atari up to our PC, our phone, or our Raspberry Pis. We're going to use my PC for the project. And what that's going to allow me to do is, when I turn the Atari on, it's going to be thinking it's talking to an actual 1050 disk drive, an old Atari disk drive, but it's actually the computer running software to make the serial port act like an Atari disk drive. So you can store all of your software on the computer, and then, or your cell phone. It'll work with cell phones if you have Android. It'll also work with Raspberry Pis, Macs, anything that's basically a computer. But you can have all of your software on the computer and select which game you want to play, which disk, and you load the disk image on the computer. And when you turn on the computer, it thinks it's talking to the disk drive, loads the game. It can read and write, all that good stuff. It's going to be really, really cool, assuming it works. And we're going to do it live, but I'm waiting on that one part. And like I said, that cable is going to go, and then it's going to come into here with these little Molex things, and we're going to make a nice live connection. And then we're going to get the Atari 800 and XL. We're going to plug that bad boy in, and we're going to hope, when everything's said and done, that we have it working. Now, one of the things I'd like to do as a project for that later would be to take one of these. This is a case for a Raspberry Pi Zero. And there is an actual Zero in there. It's some other project I'm working on. I can't talk about it. It's for work related. But I could take a little Raspberry Pi Zero. I mean, these things are tiny. I mean, I know I told you I have massive hands like Donald Trump. But this has got a little single board Raspberry Pi in it. I can actually pop it open, and there you can see it. It's got a little SD card. I think that's like an 8 gig SD card. It's got Raspbian, which is a Linux operating system running on it. And technically, what you could do is you could put pretty much all of your Atari software on here, and then run the Linux, run the emulator to make this look like a disk drive. And I mean, you could literally plug that to that, and using that cable that I don't have yet, you could make it where you could select your software on this little guy, have everything here, and keep it where you don't even need the PC. You could also use your phone. If you have like something like this, I'll show you here. Here's my cell phone. And I've got this little Android to USB cable, and I can plug that in there like that. And now I can actually plug an Xbox controller, wired controller into here. But I could also plug our little circuit board we're going to make, and you could have all your Atari software on your phone, and then use the software to make the phone talk to the Atari like it is the disk drive. That'll be kind of cool. But you can get these little cables. Um, if you got like a super new phone, you may have a USB-C. This would not work. But if you have the normal like S8 or S7s and below, this is the standard USB Android cable. But what I'd like to do is make like a little Zero project where I have like a little Raspberry Pi Zero and maybe like a LCD display with like little 4 buttons, like up, down, left, right, select, and have all the software stored on it and put it in a little box, not like a case like this, but a little box. So the LCD and the Zero are all in it. And then you could just, using the LCD, you could select what game you want, pick it, and then when you turn on the Atari, it plays that game. So you're selecting which disc you want the Raspberry Pi to emulate. So those were the projects. Stuff that I've either in the case of the little knobs, I created. Most of these, pretty much everything else is stuff that I've gone online on Thingiverse to download. I did have one person ask me once, how hard is it to make something? Well, and it can be very hard depending on the complexity of what you're making. But I'm going to show you real quick. Let me do this. This is a website called Tinkercad. And you can, I've got some stuff that I was messing with. This is a really basic way of making stuff. So I hit create new design. I didn't want to show you one thing I was making because it's my Wi-Fi password on a QR code that I printed, and then I stick it on the wall on the refrigerator. So when Lizzie has friends over, or I have family over, and they're like, "Hey, what's your Wi-Fi password?" I just tell them to scan the code, and it puts it in for them. So like if I wanted to make like a knob, I select cylinder and I drop a cylinder, and let's just say I want to make it, 40 millimeters by 40 millimeters, and we want to make it, let's make it 50 tall. So now I have a cylinder. I don't know why it does that sometimes. It just goes black. So there's a cylinder. Now I could click this and I could say export to it and save it to be able to print it. But let's say I want to make a cup. You could pick a cylinder that's hollow, bring it here. Now we made this 40, 40, 50. So let's make this 35, 35, 45. Oop, I didn't click that. 45. Oops. 45. Okay. So now we've got, this is smaller, but this is a hollow thing. So if I put it inside here, it's going to cut out all of that. So if I click these two and I go up to the align and I say center them horizontally, vertically, and then on the Z axis, center down at the bottom, or at the top, and then center here. I clicked the wrong one. Okay, so top, middle, middle. And then if I say group, boom, literally we've just made a cup. That's how easy it is to make basic things. You can get much more complex. There's a great program called Autodesk Fusion 360. It's free if you're using it for less than $100,000 a year in commercial use or non-commercial use. Until you make over 100K from it, you can use it for free, which is very, very liberal. But like I said, that's very easy to make an object. Then literally what I could do is like, I'm going to hit export to an STL, which is the common format. Now let me bring up my printer software. Give me 1 second here. I want to make sure I don't have any projects that I'm working on that I don't want to reveal. Okay. So this is the slicer software. What this does, let me make sure this is the right one. Okay, so here's our cup now that we just made. I bring it into the slicing software. There it is. And I can say prepare to print. And this is how it would print. So let's kind of move in. This is our first layer. This is called a skirt. I do a skirt around my print to initially make sure that the filament starts coming out of the nozzle. Sometimes when you're heating up the filament, some of it'll ooze out off to the side of the print, off the bed. This primes it in a sense, so you make sure usually about right about here it's coming out nice and clean, but it just does this to prime it, and then it jumps in and it basically, that's layer 1, 2, 3, and then after 3 layers, I start to do what's called an infill. Instead of wasting all of the plastic, it does an infill. It kind of does it diagonally from each other, like 90s. You can choose different infill styles. There's like honeycombs and stuff. And then it just keeps on doing that. Now it's reached the bottom, so that it always makes sure that there's 3 top and bottom layers that are 100% full before the top and bottom. And then it's starting the sides, and you can see the infill on the inside, and then the solid 2 layers on the inner and outer walls. And then it just keeps on going, up the wall. And then once it gets 3 from the top, right there, 1, 2, 3, we're done. And that's your 3 solid on the top. And you've got yourself a cup. So, I mean, you can see how easy it would be just to make a cup from nothing to being able to print it. And you can also like scale it. Like if you're like, oh, this is not right. I mean, you can see if I double click it, it tells me that I made a 40 by 40 by 50 object. And if we're like, oh man, Cloud really likes to drink heavily, this is not enough for her, she needs a bigger mug, we can make it 80. And then it just scales it up. So now it's 80 by 80 by 100. And you can turn off uniform scaling if you don't want, just the X, Y, and Z to scale accordingly. But we would obviously, in a case like this, this is how big I can get in the current printer that I have, my A8. 100 by 100 by 150. So let's just scale it up to 400. There you go. There's a cloud. There's a cloud cup. So that would be 160 millimeters wide and 200 millimeters high. And just so people like me who don't know millimeters that well, that is about an 8-inch high cup, 7.8 inches. We could go a little bit higher. I don't know if we could do 450. Yeah, so that right there is getting close. We could maybe squeak 500 out of this. No. So let's try 475. That is right there is about the max we could do. That's a 237 millimeter cup for Cloud to drink her shotgun drink out of. That's almost 9 1/3 inches, or it's basically 9 1/3. Now, just to show you how long it would take to print, if we said prepare to print, this cup would take 39 hours, 17 minutes to print. That is printing at the fastest print mode for that printer. Some printers print faster than others. Nice coffee cup. Some printers can print faster. You can change the nozzle size, so you put like larger amounts of filament. If I set this to my normal, which I usually print at medium resolution, it went from 39 hours to 52 hours. For this cup, I would leave it at the 39-hour mode because this has not got any real major detail to it. We could shrink the size of these walls. It doesn't need to be that thick. And then if we just kind of like shrink it back down, the smaller cup that we made, if I printed that, is only 1 hour and 16 minutes. But that Tinkercad website is a great website. That'd be a good thing for coffee. Yeah. Um, I now one of the things I would stress is if you print stuff, I usually print in PLA, which is the most common and the cheapest filament. It's food safe in a sense because it really PLA is made from like corn and I think some other like grainy type thing essentially. But because of the way the prints work, I mean, if you saw like when we did the prepare to print here, when you saw these layers, let me just show you. Let's just zoom in, like right there. Even though that is 100%, where it's completely filling it in solid, there's little grooves in it. So you could have food per se get stuck in it, and then maybe get not able to be cleaned. And PLA would not be very dishwasher safe. You would need to print either ABS, which is very high temp, but ABS has kind of bad fumes that come off of it when you print it. So you got to either print with your printer kind of in a hood with venting on it, or print it like in your garage or something. But PLA doesn't have that issue. But like I said, to make something food safe, food and drink safe with PLA, you would want to coat it with some food safe coating, kind of make it look almost more like a ceramic cup. But it's definitely doable. If you're using it for just dry stuff like cookie cutters, it's not as big a deal. But if you're going to make a plate and put spaghetti on it with sauce, I wouldn't use it after the first time. There's also a PLA called HT PLA, which stands for high temperature. You basically print it, and then when you're done, you put it in the oven at a certain temperature, and it does a term called anneal, and it basically makes it go through some chemical stuff I don't understand, but basically it makes it kind of harden, and it can handle higher temps. Perfect for like if you want to print something to put out in your car, like say you're printing a cell phone holder or a camera mount or something for a dash cam, and it's sitting up in the window and sun's hitting it, your car gets hot. PLA might warp depending on how hot it gets where you're at. HTPLA won't. ABS won't. PETG is another very popular filament. It won't. So there's different filaments. They all have pluses and minuses. So PLA though is definitely the most common. Very good to use for models. Um, very cool stuff. So, like I said, the goal tomorrow is to do the Atari project. Hopefully, people can tune in for that. And then I'm sorry that I wasn't able to do it today. I'm still waiting. Hopefully, Amazon comes through with the delivery with the new part since the other one got lost. I may have the new printer put together too tonight. The wife and I played golf today. Um, we played night golf last week. That was an interesting thing to do. I'd only do it once. Um, because it's like really hard to see the ball when you're hitting it when it's on the ground in the dark, and it's dangerous if you don't know the course very well because you don't know where you're walking. Even with flashlights, it gets tough. But I'm gonna. If you guys have ideas for things you'd like to see, maybe in the prints that you would like to see, I know some people have expressed interest in the mouse bungee thing that I made, that somebody designed and I printed it, that lets you put your mouse on like a little bungee thing where like as you move it, the little um, gears, which are the same kind of gears used in fidget spinners, kind of help move it so it stays in place. I've been using it now for 6 months probably, or however long. And welcome back, Lulu. And that has been great. But I think stuff like the CS:GO knife, the bungee, those would be high price items. But some simpler things like somebody wanted a small carabiner, earbud things, um, the toothpaste squeezer thing that you put your toothpaste through, a little figure like Chewbacca or a kitty cat, the earbud, not the little clips because I don't think many people would want those, but that little thing I made, paintbrush holder, yeah, that'd be a big ticket item. The Uno deck, because I mean basically if you claim it, you got to give me your address. I got to print it and then mail it to you, so it's going to actually cost me money. Um, so for shipping, which is not a big deal, but that's one reason why I would put them. That should be a hugely ticket. Could you make mouse pads with the printer? Um, I guess you could. I mean, you would want to use a flexible filament, and you'd still probably want to put something on top of it. I mean, I think mouse pads wouldn't be very practical. Maybe if I looked on Thingiverse, maybe somebody else has done it. I just don't think it would translate very well. Here's the earbud thing that I printed. You basically put your earbuds in it and you just wrap them around the outside, and it kind of holds it all together. That's really nice. Um, Show you a few other little things while we're here. If I got a little bit of time. That's the Uno card holder. Put your Uno cards in it. It's got little clips on the sides that lock in. Put them in, boom. Holds your Uno cards. There's Chewbacca. I have to get Lizzie to paint that. There's Chewie. You'll come pick it up. That'll work. These are the Molex connectors. So basically, I have to cut. I got these because they were cheaper to get them in this format, but I cut them off. These are these little metal things that are going to go into these connectors. So I'm going to cut these off, solder them, and then put them in when we do the project tomorrow. Let me see if there's anything else worth showing. I mean, I've printed a lot of stuff over the years. I think that's all I got to show. That's all I got to show right now. I printed other stuff. I mean, like I printed a hook that hooks to your car seat for the wife's car, so she could hang her purse on the seat on the back headrest. So when she's driving, she can keep it out of the way. But I printed other things that are practical use. Some things I've designed. Lizzie, can you bring me, just so I can show it here on stream, the little pin or the two things, the vase, and then the little thing that holds the bright brushes. You can leave the brushes in if you got a minute already. Just those two things. So Lizzie's gonna bring those in, and then I'm gonna call it because the wife and I are gonna be getting ready to go play golf. I'm planning on maybe a 2:00 start tomorrow for the Atari hardware thing. Well, give me the one thing. Thumbstick grippers. That is definitely something people have done. I mean, you can go to. I mean, people are welcome if they see things they think would be neat for me to print or to show. You can go here and search. I mean, you could even search for mousepad. Let me just search here. I mean, yeah, there's been a few people print like some tiny little mousepad things, but looks like they use some other surface on them. Because yeah, I think you'd have to put something on top of them. I mean, you can search there for all kinds of cool. There's other websites, but that's one of the more popular ones. All right, here she goes. So this is the vase that I printed for her. Kind of hard to see the whole thing. But that she can put pens, pencils, whatever she wants in it. That came out really good. And then this is the thing Cloud wants. You know, the art. Put your pens in. That came out really nice. There you have it. Let's see. Let me catch up here. What do you think of Nintendo shutting down game emulator sites? I think Nintendo is a horrible company, and I honestly refuse to ever like show any of their stuff game wise. I think they're jerks. Also, I heard today that I mean I can understand them shutting down sites that maybe have like DS or um, Wii U or Switch games, but I mean emulation should be fine. And just I think preservation of games is more important than stupid companies. But I mean, I don't like Bethesda either. I heard in the news today Bethesda sending cease and desist to people trying to sell their own copies of Bethesda games. Like somebody bought like I don't know if it was um, Skyrim or Fallout or whatever for their PS4, but they ended up or they didn't get a PS4. They were going to, but then they decided, well, I'm just going to upgrade my computer. So they had a sealed inbox copy of Fallout or whatever the game was, and we're going to try to sell it and on eBay or whatever or Amazon or something, and got a letter saying take it off. Pokemon, yeah, there's Pokemon chess sets. You make things that are flexible, or is everything made hard? No, there are flexible filaments. You can make wallets. You can make, the thinner you print, things can be flexible. Like, I mean, you saw like when I did these little earbud things. I mean, these these have some flex to them, but you can do flexible filament. I have some. I've never actually used it yet. Flexible filament is very good for things like this. If you're going to print a phone case, you can print a phone case with flexible filament, so that can happen. I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to print something with flexible filament. Yeah, the vase is cool. But yeah, I don't like, I think we talked about it earlier, like with the Atari 8-bit. A lot of those games for the old Ataris, the old Apple um, PCs, Commodore, Sinclair, you name it, the BBC, those old disk software packages and things, those things are going to disappear if they're not preserved. And the preservation groups do so much. I mean, there's hardware for like Commodore, be it 64, Amiga, Atari, 8-bit, STEs. There's hardware and software that guys have created to image the disk drives, even when they use copy protection. Some disk drives, old people who have never really used disk drives in the past, a lot of games would do things. The companies would put protection on the disk where they would actually put like bad sectors, holes, you name it, weird writing methods, a fuzzy writing things in weird methods, so that normally when you try to read it with your disk drive, it would generate an error, or it would generate bad data. But their software would then read it correctly. But it was a way to stop people from copying the disk and then giving it, the floppy disk, not CDs. So there's programs that have been written to image the disk to maintain that weirdness so that you could technically make a pure, pristine copy. But I think preservation of software, I mean, people may have different theories on software, but in games, but I consider it a form of art. And there's a lot of software, good and bad, that should be preserved. And it hurts me to see the companies like Nintendo playing such hardball. But Nintendo is such jerks. I mean, they don't want you to make videos on YouTube about their games unless you become some. Either you have to give revenue from that video to them, portions of it, or if you don't want to deal with it for each specific video, you have to give a portion of your entire channel. I just think that's bull, especially if you're adding content. I mean, I know there's some people who literally play a game and don't speak and then just play the game. And honestly, to me, that's not very good. I mean, if you're just playing the game and you're saying nothing, you're bringing nothing to it. I don't think that's a very good video, because I think you're bringing nothing to it, and you're not making it your own. But if you're adding your own commentary and play, and editing and doing different things, webcams, whatever, I think you're adding content. But Nintendo wants their cut. Nintendo, I think, is a very horrible company. I would love to see like Microsoft or Apple, even though I don't like Apple. Somebody, probably not Apple, they'd probably be even worse, but somebody buy Nintendo, because I just think that policy is crazy. And to not let people sell their own games, that's BS. Um, but hey, what are we gonna do? They want to make money. But I mean, like I said, if people are putting copies of current games out there, like Switch, say that somebody's got Mario Tennis for the Switch on their website, I don't think that's legit. I don't watch any racing. I do want to say one of the things I'm going to make, and it's going to be a project. And let me show you. Speaking of racing, I'm going to print. Somebody designed this. Let me bring it up here. I'm going to print this open RC F1 car. Basically, you print an entire car. Although I probably would get wheels bought by the wheels instead of printing them because I don't think the plastic would be very good versus rubber. But you have to, and obviously I have to buy the motors, battery, the control servos to make the wheels turn. But basically, the guy who made it, I mean, put the design up, and that's it working there. These things are really cool. So, like the parts for it, if you look when you print it, I mean, there's a lot of parts. These PDFs are instructions. But pretty much all the ones you see the blue in, not the gears or these white PDFs, these are all parts you have to print. Thing finally announced that I'm streaming on there. You can print the tires, but I mean, there's a lot of parts. Now, a lot of these parts are very small. So I'm going to print them and I'm going to make this car and I'm going to buy the electronic kits. They even show you like where to go to get like, yeah, I think they have a link here to his website and it shows you his website works. Like go to Banggood website to get some of the Formula One parts, like the brush motor. The motor's $12, blah blah blah. You buy all the parts, put it in there. They give you all the detail PDFs on how to make it. So I'd like to make this car. I'll show you a picture here if I can find it. There's a guy on YouTube, very entertaining if you're into 3D printing. There's a lot of different guys, but there's a guy who calls himself a 3D printing nerd. His name's Joel. He took that car.
This is the
like here. I don't want to show his video without his permission, but he printed one, and then he scaled it up to make a huge one. He's got like 12 printers. Here is the finished version. He hasn't he's going to get real wheels. He's made more videos. If you're into this, you could definitely check out 3D Printing Nerd. He's very good. There's a guy named Maker Muse, Angus, his name. Those two guys are probably my favorite two guys to watch do printing stuff. I made this for I think I showed it last Christmas. I printed that for our Christmas tree as a Mario star. But he had a guy who came out who is an RC expert. They're going to put two big electric motors in this, and a servo to control the wheels. They're going to get real rubber wheels, and it's going to possibly do. They say, and I don't know if they're going to finish it, but I think they're still working on it. They said with the motors in it, they think it'll easily hit 60 miles per hour up to 100. And they're going to take it to a drag track and drag race a Tesla. That's their supposed goal. I don't know if it's going to happen. It would be cool if so. But he had to redo some things, obviously. He used different colored filaments. That's why you see all the different colors in it. I don't know. I'm sure they're going to paint it or do something. But he's very entertaining. If you're into 3D printing, there's his channel. So like I said, I want to make the car a small version, the standard size, and then maybe Lizzie and I and the wife will take it to like a park or something when it's not very busy and like shoot it all around the driveways and stuff. So it could be fun. Maybe hit some jumps. The best thing is if you break it, as long as you don't break the electronics, you break the frame, just print a new one. So anyway, that's going to do it. I want to thank the subs, the bit donations, the resubs, all that good stuff. Everybody, let me know. Drop me some messages on things you think would be interesting that I've either shown, things you'd like to see me print. Um, Hopefully, I'll have the other printer built. I'm not sure. I may have to move one of them downstairs. I don't have the room on my desk. Couple and take them to RC tracks to race each other. It's possible. Possible. Probably build one to start. Um, but if you see things you think would be cool to build, especially if you think it's cute and simple, like if you come back and say build a life size Death Star, yeah, not gonna happen. But if you see like some cute things that are smaller or simpler, and you're like that would be cool to see you make and print, um, we'll do it. And then if you think things, what would be things to put point values on? You just found something. Well, send me. Don't post it. Don't post your links in Twitch chat. Send them to me on Discord. Send them on Discord. I don't know if Steam with the update how reliable it is. I usually get Steam messages all the time. Since the update, I've had very few. Um, but it could be everybody uses Discord and Twitter. But you can direct message me on Twitter. You can direct message me on Discord. I mean, give me a link to Thingiverse or whatever to something. As long as it's something that's within the size limits or limitations I have hardware wise with my printers, or it doesn't require some weird like. There's different forms of printers. There's SLS or SLA or I think it's SLS. I don't know. It's more of a resin printer. They're very high resolution, good for little models, but I don't have one. I have 3D printing that uses plastic PLA. It's FDM is what it's called, printers. So it had to be something that's in my realm. But there are some things on Thingiverse that are more for that SLA or whatever. You'd be willing to pay for all of it. Well, I'm curious what it is. You'll have to let me know. Um, but like I said, I'll put some point things on. I mean, I tell you that one of the most nice things to have, even though it sounds stupid, is that little toothpaste squeezer. I showed it. I don't have one. I don't have it with me. I can't spell toothpaste. For those who didn't see it, I'll show you real quickly here. This thing here. It's literally just a little triangle with a slit. You slide the toothpaste this end through here, and then you just pull it. And literally, it gets every bit of toothpaste pushed forward so you don't lose any. There's some crazier designs like this thing here where you stick it in and you turn it. But to me, that's just something that's going to eventually crack, or it's just going to get really messy. I think this one much more popular or much more just it's simple. It does what you need to do, and you can clean it if you need to, if you care. I mean, a little toothpaste on it, who cares? Adds a little character. Um, but that right there, that'd probably be something I put like on a cheaper point value because I have no problem dropping one of those. I could put it in an envelope, almost like sending your tooth to the tooth fairy. So I'm gonna have to look here and see what Cloud sent. Oh my God. I'm gonna let you guys see it because it's like that would be interesting. Let me look at this in 3D view. Okay, so they are. What do they say? Resolutions. Looks like one person's made it. This is one person's print. I definitely would not paint those. That'd be too much work. I've done a lot here. Look at my things. I've made a knob for our air fryer and a Fortnite logo. 27 people have collected it. It got 38 likes. One guy said he made it, but all he did is he or hold it. He said he made it, but all he did was take my design and put a hole in it and trimmed it and then acted like he created something. He made a bicolor version of it. Well, you didn't. This is just a picture on the computer. You didn't make and actually print it. So he's just literally faked by saying he printed one just so people will click his. But it's basically he just took mine and trimmed it a little bit. I actually printed it, and I gave people the different files in case they wanted to do anything with it. So I don't care. And somebody remixed it. I always clicked the wrong thing. It's probably that guy. Yeah, he remixed it, but he posted it as a make too. You would like a set? I'll have to look at that, Cloud. That seems like it could be possible. I don't know how many pieces it actually is, but it's potentially doable. I don't know if they'd be like as solid feeling as a typical mahjong tile. They might be light, so. But I'll look at it. I'll take a look and see how many pieces it is and all that. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go, guys, because we leave here in a little bit to play golf. Hopefully, like I said, I'll play some games. I'd like to play a little Division when they come out with the new global event, which I don't know when that happens. I think it happens here this month. Yeah, we could do that maybe. And I want to try some other stuff too, game wise. But anyway, I want to thank everybody. Sorry for not getting to the other project yet, but we'll do that tomorrow, and it should be fun. Hopefully, people will enjoy it. Thanks everybody for chatting, watching the ideas, and the donations, bits, and resubs. And we'll see you soon tomorrow.
There's some things I know about you. Your hair is black and red and full, and your smile's like a child's. I think I'll stay with you a while. With too many nights staring at the time when I am you and you are me. With too many nights staring at the time when I am you and you are me. And your shape's divinity. We are like rabbits in the tree. You can call me Philistine. Get down on my knees just to take you home with me. With too many nights staring at the time when I am you and you are me. With too many nights staring at the time when I